Hi digital marketers, hope you're well and thank you very much for coming back on PPC Kingdom and watch another video about paid media and digital marketing. Today we're going to discuss a very hot topic which has been on fashion since its switch in July 2023. We are talking about Google Analytics 4, and the switch I was referring to is the switch from the old Universal Analytics to the new Google Analytics 4, also called GA4. So we're gonna do the comparison of the two analytics, the changes, and we are going to understand how we can now use the new GA4 to extract valuable insight for your own business or the businesses of your clients. So without further ado, let's dive deep into GA4. Welcome to PPC Kingdom. So guys, I created this PowerPoint to better explain all the concept, and it's Google Analytics UA versus GA4 comparison, changes, and how to extract valuable data. The start of everything is July 2023, when the old Google Universal Analytics was replaced by Google Analytics 4 or GA4. Why has GA changed? So, first of all, Universal Analytics was obsolete, was created in 2013 and was reflecting rules and policies of 10 years ago. Second point, the web is going cookieless. We're going to talk about it in few seconds extensively. The third point is that Google Analytics is now evolving into machine learning. It's reading data instead of providing them. The fourth point is that Google Analytics 4 collects data both from website and mobile apps in order to provide an integrated experience. And last point, it's designed to scale your business by measuring across devices and platforms. Google Analytics 4, it's the new way of Google to track customer without the use of cookies. So GA4 is basically the response to the growing concern about privacy and the phase out of third-party cookies. You probably heard that Google is going completely cookieless in 2024. No date has been released, but it's known that it's going to happen. So it's preparing its platform and its ad platform in order to face this challenge. Google Analytics 4 operates without cookies, adapting to a new data collection methods, which we will see in the next slide. This innovation addresses the demand for secure and responsible handling of customer data in tracking and advertising. GA4 allows you to track user ID, device ID, and Google signals instead of cookies, so basically allows the system to maintain anonymity. But what is a user ID? A user ID is a unique identifier that you can assign to a user. This can be used to track user across multiple devices, but as I said, maintaining anonymity. What about device ID? Just like the user is an identifier that it's assigned to each device and can be used to track user across different devices. And last one is Google Signals, a feature that allows users to share their browsing data with Google. This data can be used to improve the accuracy of GA4 reports. What type of data does GA4 collect? The short answer is more or less everything was collected in Universal Analytics but enhanced. So what are we talking about? Are we talking about event tracking? Are we talking about device fingerprinting? And are we talking about demographics? When we talk about event tracking, we are talking about the classic event that we've been tracking for ages. When someone fills out a form, click a button, land on a certain page, make a purchase, and so on. When we talk about device fingerprinting, we are talking about device's IP address, browser type, operating system, and so on. And finally, demographics. Everybody knows that: age, gender, location, and so on. Machine learning, that was the third point of the initial slide. So what is machine learning? It's the use and development of a computer system that is able to learn and adapt without following explicit instructions, using algorithms and statistical models to analyze and draw conclusions from patterns in data. So how does GA4 use machine learning? Predictive metrics, personalized reports, anomaly detection, and recommendation. And how will this machine learning benefit you? Improved accuracy, reduced workload, and increased scalability. So now, to better understand the next bullet points, we need to talk a little bit about the structure of the new property in GA4. So, just like in Universal Analytics, we have an account, and inside an account we have a property. The difference here is that now, under a property, we have two data streams. One is for the web and one is for the app. So basically, the same property, under the same property, we have two different data streams from app and web that can be merged together to have a better experience in terms of attribution model. We are going to talk about this very soon. The traffic sources, the classical one, have stayed the same. We still have the organic channel, we still have the paid channel, we still have the traffic coming from social media, we still have the referral traffic, the direct traffic, but there is something new. Now, in GA4, we have a channel called cross network. For who's already familiar with Google Ads, cross network is literally the performance max campaigns. So, performance max campaigns are now under cross network, and the classic search campaigns are under paid traffic. So for instance, when you report the performance of Google Ads to a client, you may want to sum up the revenue of paid traffic and cross network, because they come from the same channel, which is based from the same platform, which is basically Google Ads. Let's have a look now at the new dimension and metrics. We have first user, a user who has never interacted with your website before, basically new users. We have session default channel group, which shows the channel through which users arrived at your site or app when they initiated the new sessions. The old average order value is now called average purchase revenue. The transactions are now called items purchased. The conversion rate has now changed to session conversion rate and is not a default setting, so requires manual adjustment. User journeys track the path that users take on your website, and we have the engaged session, which is the percentage of the session that are considered to be engaged. Now let's talk a little bit about bounce rate and new engaged session. So GA4 uses events to track user engagement. rather than page views like in Universal Analytics. This means that the bounce rate is no longer a relevant metric in GA4. The bounce rate is calculated as the percentage of sessions that end after a single page view. However, this metric could be misleading. It's not a reliable metric because a user could visit a single conversion page or contact page. A user may view a single page if they are familiar with your content. A user may view a single page if they are looking for specific information, and can be affected by factors such as device, location, and internet connection speed. Instead, what is the engaged session? It measures the percentage of sessions that are considered to be engaged. An engaged session is one that meets one of the following criteria. The session lasts for more than 10 seconds, the session includes 2 or more page views, and the session includes a conversion event. Engaged session is basically a more reliable conversion than bounce rate, and this is why it was changed. What is a conversion? A conversion in Google Analytics 4 is any user action that you consider valuable to your business. Just like we mentioned before, we are talking about users purchasing from your store, subscribing to a newsletter, clicking a certain button, visiting a certain page. What is attribution? Attribution in Google Analytics 4 is the process of assigning credit to different marketing channels for conversion. This is done by tracking the user journey from the first touch point to the conversion. What are the 3 main conversion types you'll use in GA4? We have the e-commerce one, which is basically the tracking of sales transactions and other e-commerce actions. We have click tracking, like when someone clicks on a button or on a phone number or on an email. And then we have the URL tracking, which is basically when someone visits a certain page assigned to a certain URL, like thank you page, purchase, and so on. What is attribution modeling? Attribution modeling in GA4 is the process of assigning credit to different marketing channels for conversion. It does this by analyzing the entire customer journey, including both online and offline touchpoints, to determine which channels had the biggest impact on conversions. To better understand this, let's have a look at the slide on top of the page here. For example, let's take the conversion number 71. The first click of the user in this case was attracted by Performance Max cross network. Then it went to paid search, for instance, the following day, and then by referral, for example, it saw the website on somewhere else on the web, and then the last click was finally assigned to organic search. You can see that the attribution model in GA4 assigns a certain percentage of value based on the action made during that particular session on that particular platform from that particular channel to understand and to give value to the entire journey of the user. Now let's talk a little bit about the types of attribution. In reality, there are quite a few, but I reported here the most famous and the one that GA4 uses. The most famous is the last touch attribution, has been around since the very beginning, and this model assigns all credit for a conversion to the last touch point before the conversion. So, if the conversion was accrued as last click by Google Ads, its value is completely assigned to Google Ads. If the last click was organic, the total value will be assigned to organic, and so on, including the direct channel, which most of the time was a channel that was stealing quite a lot of conversion from other channels that were actually contributing much more than it looks like. What GA4 is using? GA4 is using data-driven attribution model, literally the little percentage that you have seen 2 slides ago. I'm talking about this. GA4 assigned a certain percentage value to every platform based on a series of actions that machine learning can analyze to really give the value to every single channel. So this model, as we said, uses machine learning to assign credit to different marketing channels for conversion. It does this by analyzing the entire customer journey, including both online and offline touchpoints, to determine which channels had the biggest impact on conversion. And finally, this model is based on your actual data, and it can be used to measure the impact of all your marketing channels. We are now at the end of the presentation, and let's recap and have a few final considerations. So, first of all, due to privacy concern and new regulation, the digital world is moving towards a cookieless approach. Universal Analytics is now considered obsolete, and GA4, Google Analytics 4, has emerged as the solution to meet these new privacy standards. GA4 utilizes various types of anonymous data, which are processed through its machine learning algorithms, and this approach helps compensate for the lack of information traditionally gathered by cookies, providing enhanced insight. Moreover, GA4 integrates data from both web and app sources, offering a unified analysis experience. And finally, in the conversion path analysis, machine learning is used to attribute a percentage value to every channel based on several factors. This assists analysts in gaining more precise insight for budget allocation and decisions. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is that GA4 is better than Universal Analytics with its safer privacy policy, with its machine learning and its attribution model can provide data and insight that were not available in Universal Analytics. So no fear, switch confidently to GA4. Thank you very much and see you soon.